Hello, welcome back to another Naruto CCG Deck Profile. Today I'm going to be profiling a more meta deck for you. It's going to be a Rasengan Barrage deck. As always, I use primarily the Midwest Tournament Discord rogue list, but I can also conform it to the Untap rogue list pretty easily. In fact, this deck was made during my Untap rogue list days, so it's mostly going to conform to that, and I don't believe there are any changes for the Midwest Tournament group. As always, I will have the deck list down below so that you can upload it to Untap and see the cards for yourself, make any changes that you want. And as always, I will inform you of what each of the rogue list modifications are and anything that is limited or banned. So let's get into it. Starting off, I play 3 Messenger Ninjas as a turn 0. It is one of the most staple turn 0s in the game, and it's incredibly powerful for lightning decks. Its effect is, during your mission phase, you can reveal the top 6 cards of your deck. If there are 1 or more ninja cards with an entrance cost of 1 or less and a lightning symbol, you can discard this ninja. In that case, put one of them in play and return the rest and shuffle your deck. So this card is very good because not only does it essentially increase your opening hand size by double, 6 more cards that you can pick from to find a turn 0. It also lets you find a turn 1 on turn 0, so you can be ahead as early as turn 0 with just this one card. Because of the way it works, once this card leaves the field, it is no longer considered to be this version of it if you bring in another one. So the way Messenger Ninja works, if you do have this in play and you search the top 6 and there's another Messenger Ninja in there, you can bring in that Messenger Ninja and do the entire process over again to search again. So that can be a pretty handy way to kind of limit what is in your deck. This is pretty much a dead draw past turn 0 or 1, so you don't really want it to come up. And more importantly, there is a mission that's going to come up later on where you're going to want this in your discard specifically. So just getting it into discard is very beneficial, but the ability to put it in there to get another ninja out immediately is incredibly powerful. Next up, I run 3 Konohamaru. It has clone status, which is very beneficial because the entire point of this deck is to get out clone status ninjas and use Rasengans as much as possible. Clone status, if you don't know, is a characteristic that fundamentally does nothing on its own. It is primarily used to qualify for jutsus, essentially. It doesn't allow you to do anything inherently. And this Konohamaru has it. It's one of the better ones that does have clone status. Unfortunately, the one that lets you draw does not have clone status, but this one is still very beneficial. And ironically, like my last 2 deck profiles, it has a very similar effect to Sasori Childhood and Hanabi. Its effect is, when your opponent wins any battle rewards, if this ninja is injured, you can look at it or them. If there are 1 or more mission cards among them, you can reveal it or them and move it or them to your hand instead. Then move the rest to the battle reward area normally. So just like the other 2, this card is a can, so it does only work once per instance per turn. So the most you can get out of this is 2, assuming that they're winning them in a battle. And once you've done that once, you can no longer do it for the rest of that turn. But it does let you win any amount in that instance, so 1 or 2 possibly. Unlike the other 2, it does have a condition where it needs to be injured, which is not the best, but like Naruto's, it does get more powerful when it is injured. And also like Naruto, it has the clone status effect, and it has growth, so you can use this early on and hopefully pump up your numbers pretty well. There are a few missions in here that are very beneficial, but saving them from going to battle rewards isn't the biggest deal like it is for Hanabi, so it's kind of just a nice little boon. Next, I run 2 Naruto Childhood. This is one of the 2 versions, the one with the orange little hoodie instead of the white, Konoha t-shirt that he has. And its effect is... And its effect is, when this ninja is put in play or removed from play, move the top card of your deck to your chakra area. When this ninja is moved to your chakra area due to the effect of growth, you can place 1 growth coin on target ninja. This is beneficial for boosting your chakra early. Obviously, also it counts as a Naruto Uzumaki ninja for any effects that you might have for Naruto Uzumakis. It doesn't have clone status, obviously, so it can't use the clone status jutsus, but it is able to be growthed over for Naruto's on turn 3. It's also useful for a platoon that can come in as early as turn 1. And a beneficial effect here is the second effect, where when he's growthed and moved to the chakra area due to the effect of growth, you can place 1 growth coin on target ninja. So this allows you to put 2 growth coins on a ninja when it is growthed, which is helpful. However, something you might not notice is this half of the effect is not valid. So even though the top half is valid because of the spacing in here, the bottom half does not get this valid effect. So unfortunately, if this ninja is injured when you growth over it, you do not get the second growth coin, which kind of sucks because this is a good beat stick early on with 3-0 when it is injured. But getting chakra early is what is going to be helpful for using those jutsus, so that's why we run it. Next I run 2 Kushina. It is limited to 2 on both of the lists that I play on. Its effect is, when this ninja is put in play, you can move up to 2 cards from the top of your deck to your chakra area. So chakra in the early game is very beneficial for some decks. It allows you to get over your opponent earlier and kind of snowball. And this card is one of the best at doing that. It has growth, so if you get both of them in your hand early on, or even in the late game to try to make up for a jutsu war that you just had, it allows you to growth over it and get the 2 again, because it's not when it is deployed, it's when it is put in play. She also has 2 mental power, which is beneficial, and she has 2 support, so if you play her with, say, Naruto Childhood, when it's injured, you have a team of 5 that can win 2 battle rewards if they are not blocked. So I always try to run 2 of these if I'm running any at all. If I was just going to run 1, it would be more beneficial to play an Ink Leech, which is legal at 1 in one of the lists, but it's typically best to run this at 2. Lastly, for turn 0s, I run 1 Shion. Not a ninja that's commonly seen in a lot of decks, but because of a strategy I use later, it's pretty helpful. Its effect is, when this ninja is sent out to attack, you can select one of your opponent's ninjas. In that case, at the end of that turn, if that ninja was not sent out to battle that turn, give 1 damage to that ninja. So this can be very helpful for getting early damage. It's kind of a mental war between you and your opponent. Deciding if you want to target a ninja that you don't want them to send out, or a ninja that you think they do want to send out, is going to be a challenge for you. But that's not the main draw of having her. That's just an added benefit. Stat-wise, she's not the best. She's 0-1, which is fine for support, but not anything you're going to want to deploy her specifically for. But she does have the 2 mental power, which is helpful. But otherwise, she is just a tutor, basically, for another jutsu I have later on. On to turn 1s, I run 2 Mabui, one of the harder cards in the entire game to find real copies of. This effect is, during your mission phase as the attacker, you can pay 1 lightning, 1 water, or 1 wind, and then search your deck for a lightning, water, or wind card without ambush, and move it to your chakra area. Then shuffle your deck. So this card has a couple of purposes. Moving a Fourth Hokage is the main benefit of this card, and you'll see why when we get to that section in just a bit. But that's its main function, and the second function is to move Messenger Ninjas to your chakra area. Beyond turn 1, Messenger Ninja, as I said, is kind of a brick card. You don't want to draw into it. So if you're able to use this effect to move a Messenger Ninja into your chakra, you won't be able to draw that ninja again. And then you can use that Messenger Ninja as chakra to pay for the next one, so that you can get it into the discard early for the mission. I don't primarily run it for that reason, and if I didn't have another target in the Fourth Hokage to do that, I wouldn't run this. But I do know a lot of people do use it primarily to cut down their deck of things they don't want to see. If I do have this out in the late game, I am going to use it in that way too. I'll probably move any turn 0s that I definitely don't need, like Naruto Childhoods I definitely don't want to draw into. Maybe Konohamaru's if I know that I'm not going to be able to play those. But generally, it's good to cut down your deck of cards that you don't want to see, and to fill your chakra area with things that you need in there. Next, I run 2 Naruto Uzumaki clones. This is the promo version, and its effect is when this ninja is put in play, you can search your deck for a clone status ninja card, reveal it, and move it to your hand. Now, there is another version of this clone that allows you to search an Uzumaki, and because of that, you would be able to search for a Kushina. But this one is for clone status specifically, which I thought was more beneficial. It can search for the Konohamarus on turn 0, and it can search for Konohamaru Ninja Squad, which is the primary target beyond just Naruto in this deck. It's a very powerful card when it's injured. It goes into 5-0, which is crazy. It can win battle rewards by itself just on turn 1. And because it's a turn 1 ninja, it can actually be brought onto the field on turn 0 with Messenger Ninja. So you could use Messenger Ninja, put this into play, search for a Naruto or a Konohamaru or a Konohamaru Ninja Squad, move it to your hand. This could get injured, and then you have a 5-0 on turn 1 or 2. So that's very strong. The interesting part about the Naruto clones is that they do not have name Naruto Uzumaki. So they actually don't count as a Naruto in any regard. So the benefit to that is you can still deploy a Naruto while you have a clone on the field, and you can play a clone while you have a Naruto on the field because they aren't related in any way. But the downside of this is that this Naruto doesn't count as a Naruto in name for a mission that we have that gets a better benefit when you have a Naruto on the field, and it also can't use Naruto Jutsus, which is very unfortunate. But otherwise, it's a very powerful card, and allowing you to search out your Narutos, which is the main key part of this deck, is its main function, and it does it very well. Next, I play 1 Naruto Uzumaki and Shadow Clone Platoon. This is the platoon I was mentioning earlier that is beneficial for running the Naruto Childhoods, because that is the only early Naruto you can run to get it off on turn 1. Because platoons can only be put in play by their platooning effect, so even if you were to draw into this with Messenger Ninja, it would not be able to put this into play, unfortunately. Its effect is when this ninja uses a jutsu card that includes Rasengan in its name, and that means any card with Rasengan in its name, it doesn't have to be Rasengan, period, the jutsu cost becomes 1 lightning. So this is kind of a tech card. I don't often go into this, but in situations where I have Rasengan in my hand and I have a childhood on the field, I am going to want to try to search this with the clone, or if I just drew into it, I'm going to want to deploy this because the entire point of the deck is to use Rasengans quickly and very often. So getting it out as early as turn 1 is pretty beneficial for that. Because its name is Naruto Uzumaki and Shadow Clone, not Naruto Uzumaki and Clone, or Naruto Uzumaki Clone and Naruto Uzumaki, or something like that, it can't platoon over the clone either. It has to platoon over Naruto, and to my knowledge, this is the only platoon or squad that platoons or squads with a ninja that doesn't exist. It has to be off of Naruto Uzumaki because that's the only target. But 3-0, 3-0, healthy and injured is fine. And obviously it's clone status, so it can use any of the Rasengan jutsus. It can use any Naruto jutsu that requires clone status. So running it at 1 of is fine. I'm not really going to be going into this all the time. Last but not least, I run 1 Shion Awakened. This is limited to 1 in both of the formats, and its effect is, during your mission phase, you can remove this in-play ninja from the game. In that case, your opponent gets 3 battle rewards. In that case, select one of your opponent's ninjas with an entrance cost of 4 or less and remove it from the game. It's a very powerful effect for being anti-meta. If you know there's a card that you don't want your opponent to use, like if you're facing the deck I profiled last time and they have a Hanabi on the field and you want to get rid of it, this is the way to do it. If they put that Naruto down that's going to let them mill you, you can get rid of it. If they just have a Sasuke on the field and you don't want them to, you can get rid of it, Naruto, etc. So Generally, this is going to be played, and its effect is going to be used immediately so that you can get its effect off and not have to worry about it being a target on the field, basically. So not often this is going to be played, but like I said with the previous Shion turn 0, I do have a tech with both of these that I can show later. But otherwise it is a 0-2 support and 0-0 when injured, which is fine. Another 2 support is never going to hurt because a lot of the ninjas in this deck are pretty aggro on the front combat side. First turn 2 I play is Iruka Umino. His effect is, when this ninja is put in play, draw 1 card. When you deploy a lightning ninja, if this ninja card is in your discard pile, you can pay 1 lightning, and in that case, move this ninja card to your hand. So this is beneficial in that you can essentially pay 1 chakra to have a free entrance cost. Say if you're down to 1 or 2 cards in your hand, you don't want to get rid of any of them for a mission that you really need to play to sort of refill your hand. This is the way you can do it, just by sacrificing 1 chakra. The draw is also very powerful. A lot of the best cards in the game just let you draw 1, and this is no different. Otherwise, he has 1 mental power, which is fine, and his combat of 3-2 and 2-1 when injured is fine. He is mostly here for the draw effect and the hand cost resurrection effect, so running him at 1 is fine. And the last turn 2 I run is Konohamaru Ninja Squad, one of the best cards in the game in my opinion. It is limited to 1 on both of the lists that I play, and its effect is, when this ninja is put in play, reveal the top card of your deck, then move that card to your hand. So this is not a draw effect. If there's anything that has negative benefits for you when you draw, or benefits for your opponent when you draw, this does not proc that. It is a move. And its second effect is the most important effect. Other leaf ninjas in this ninja's team cannot be affected by the effects of your opponent's ninjas. That's super important. There are guys that can come in that can just deal 2 damage. They're no longer able to do that except to Konohamaru Ninja Squad. They'd have to do that first. There are negation ninjas that can work on your ninjas, but not with Konohamaru Ninja Squad in the field. So just blanket protection for your leaf ninjas, of which pretty much every ninja in this deck is incredibly strong. It has 4 mental power, which is crazy. It has 3 support, which is very good. Clone status, so we can use the Rasengans in the deck, and it can growth over the earlier Konohamaru, so that becomes a 3-4 ninja. So overall, just very good, and it suits the deck perfectly because it has all the capabilities that any other Naruto would. On to turn 3's, the most important key card of the deck, Naruto Uzumaki. Its effect is, when this ninja is sent out to attack, you can search for 1 Jutsu card that includes Rasengan in its name and or requirements, Naruto Uzumaki, in the top 5 cards of your deck. Show it to your opponent and place it in your hand. Then return the rest to the top of your deck and shuffle it. So this is the key component. You're going to want to get this out on turn 3 immediately. Because the entire point of the deck is to have this on the field, and then every time it's sent out to attack, you get to hopefully draw into a Rasengan Jutsu before your opponent even gets to decide if they're going to block or not. That can be a huge mind game, and honestly, getting the Jutsu to your hand oftentimes isn't even the benefit of getting to use it that helps you out the most. But it's the mind game of your opponent knowing that you just drew into a Rasengan, and now no matter what, they're going to have to deal with that provided you have the chakra. And honestly, if that happens even once and they decide not to block because they're worried about that Jutsu, it snowballs so quickly because next time you might draw into another Rasengan. Now they have to deal with 2 Jutsus in a row before they can even attempt to deal with the Naruto. And because you run 3 of them, even if they do happen to snipe it or kill it in a Jutsu exchange that you lose, you can get another one easily. Especially with the 2 clones that I run in here, you can search it even in the late game. 3-0 and 6-0 when injured is incredibly strong, and it has growth, so it can even get stronger as you growth it later on in the game. And beneficially, this ninja doesn't have to be the one that uses the Rasengan. You can draw into a Rasengan and then have your Konohamaru Ninja Squad in a whole different team use it. So that is the key strategy of the deck, and it actually works pretty well. I run about 13 jutsus, I think, that can be searched by this Naruto, and they come up much more often than you would think, and that's actually a bonus to being able to thin it with a Mabui. You can actually get more jutsu chances in the top 5. Next, I run 2 Jiraiya Childhoods. It's still on turn 3, and it does have 1 hand cost, the first ninja with hand cost in this deck. Its effect is valid when this ninja gets +1/+1 for each of your other injured ninjas, which is going to be often because you have Naruto's that get more powerful when injured, Konohamaru gets more powerful when injured. And a second valid effect is when your opponent deploys a ninja card, you can move 1 card with a lightning symbol in your discard pile to your chakra area. So that's just another chakra refresh for the deck, along with Kushina, along with Naruto Childhood. You're going to be wanting to get chakra back because you have Rasengans that you want to be using. This Jiraiya does count as a Jiraiya, so it is able to use all the Rasengan jutsus because there aren't any that restrict you to a Jiraiya of a certain entrance cost. So that's helpful, and its effect combat of 5-2 and 4-0 is pretty good. It's probably going to be more than that because you're going to have injured ninjas. So this is just another turn 3 variant Rasengan target if you don't have Naruto on the field. Or if you do have Naruto on the field and you bring this out later, just another way that you can use Rasengans on other teams. It's also helpful to go into Sage mode later on, and I do run another Jiraiya, but honestly, getting to that late in the game and getting all 3 into your field isn't very likely to happen, but it does happen sometimes, so it's nice to have that option. And the last turn 3 I run is 1 Shima. This is not the one that is able to search the other Fukasaku. This one is when this ninja is put in play, you can discard an in-play non-ninja card. So this allows you to remove comparative strengths or other negation missions from, say, your Naruto if he's getting targeted for negation. It also has Senjutsu, so it allows you to pay the costs of any of your jutsus with any symbol, which doesn't really come up for this deck because the deck is almost entirely lightning based and all the jutsus are almost entirely lightning based. But this is ran mostly to remove permanent missions, remove problem like tokens even, or like anything attached to your ninjas. With a 2-3 support and 0-3 when injured, it's not going to be any different if it gets injured, which is nice because you're probably going to be leading your teams with Jiraiya, with Naruto, with Konohamaru. So having a back ninja with good support is very helpful. And I run 1 turn 4. This is Fukasaku. It also has Senjutsu, so it can pay costs of jutsus with any symbol. And its effect is, when this ninja is put in play, search your deck for a Shima ninja card, reveal it, and move it to your hand. And when this ninja is sacrificed, draw 2 cards. So mostly just to search out Shima if you need it, because honestly, in this deck, Shima is more valuable than Fukasaku, even though he has a better support stat. Because the 2 of them here are mostly just for the option to go into Jiraiya Sage mode. But since that's not very likely, the ability to remove missions is going to be more helpful. But honestly, the 4 support is incredible. So if you can get this on the field and support Naruto, you could be a team of 10 if Naruto's injured and this is behind it. And there aren't a lot of teams that can get over that with only 2 ninjas. So yeah, this is just in here mostly for those aspects. And that's why I just run each of them at 1. I don't run any turn 5s, so I'm just going to go straight into turn 6. This is the only Jiraiya that I run besides the Childhoods. Is a turn 6 with 1 hand cost, and like Fukasaku and Shima, he does have Senjutsu, which again isn't super helpful. But its effect is, during your mission phase, you can pay 0 chakra. If you have a Naruto Uzumaki, which again does not include clone, move 1 lightning jutsu card from your discard pile to the top of your deck. Now, there is another Jiraiya that has a very similar effect. It's where when you have a Naruto on the field, you can just move a jutsu straight to your hand outright. And normally I would say that one is just objectively better than this one. However, this one has Mastery, so if you do have this on the field, you can use a Rasengan Jutsu with him and then pay 1 Lightning Chakra and get that Rasengan back to your hand, to even use it on a different team for that exchange of Jutsu if you want to. And because of the way that Naruto works, where it searches the top 5 of your deck to look for a Jutsu, when you put the Jutsu on the top of your deck and then are sending your teams out to battle, you're essentially moving it to your hand for free anyway. So there's really no downside. You don't have to wait for the next turn to draw into that Jutsu. So I think just for the Mastery alone, it is worth running this one instead. He has a 6-2 combat and 5-2 when injured, which is very good. Obviously, he's just going to be powerful as he has a turn 6. And obviously, he can go into Jiraiya Sage mode if you happen to have this with Fukasaku and Shima. And for the last of the ninjas, I run 1 the Fourth Hokage. He's a turn 6 and 1 hand cost. His effect is, during the exchange of Jutsu, you can move this ninja from the game. In that case, move this ninja card back into play at the end of the turn. So this is essentially a Flashpoint effect before Flashpoint existed, which I think I've mentioned in previous decks. Yes, with Sasori. But because this is a valid effect, which Flashpoint is not, you can actually use this effect while you're injured, and when he comes back onto the field at the end of the turn, he is no longer injured, because once he's removed from the field zone, the game doesn't remember that he was injured, because it treats it as an entirely new card coming back. So he's essentially block bait. Every time you send him out to attack, you can basically bait out a block. They know that they have to block this because he's going out to attack, but if they don't block it with anything that can harm him, they're going to take damage. If they block with something that can harm him, he can just flashpoint himself away, and they just wasted a big team to block him. So he's very powerful. And the main draw of this card is with the Special Kunai Jutsu card that I'm just going to get to in a second. But otherwise, he's a 5-4 and a 6-5 when injured, so kind of like Naruto, he does get a little stronger when he's injured. Mental Power 2, which is helpful, and he has Satusa, which is like a village leader, so he is going to be above a Jonin level for one of the Jutsus later on. So the first of the jutsus I run is Tsuchigumo style Forbidden Jutsu Release Big Bang. I've mentioned this before in the Puppets deck. This is a must-have for any Lightning or Wind deck, and it is limited to 1. It costs 1 Wind or 1 Lightning Chakra, and its effect is charge 1 card, in that case draw 2 cards. It's very valuable. Drawing is one of the most important aspects of any deck, and the ability to trade out this 1 card and 1 of your chakra for 2 new cards is incredibly powerful, especially during the exchange of Jutsu, where you could draw into 2 Rasengans possibly to then start a new chain and use those Rasengans on the field immediately. So it is limited to 1, like I said, for both of the lists, and for good reason. Always run this in every Lightning and Wind deck. Next, I run 2 Special Kunai. So this jutsu costs 1 Lightning and 1 anything. And its effect is place 1 the Fourth Hokage ninja card from your hand, chakra area, or discard pile in the user's team in any position. At the end of the turn, if the Fourth Hokage is still in play, move it to your hand. So the benefit of this is with the only Fourth Hokage that we run, and this is a very popular combo for very good reason. As early as turn 0, if you have the tech going, as long as this Fourth Hokage is in your chakra area or discard pile, you can play Special Kunai to put it into play, obviously. However, you can then, during the exchange of Jutsu, chain the Fourth Hokage's effect to remove him from the game. And because the game no longer remembers that this Fourth Hokage was the one that was on the field, and this card is looking for that Fourth Hokage that was on the field, when this Fourth Hokage comes back into play, it is not removed from play to your hand by this Special Kunai because it doesn't know that it's supposed to. It's treated as an entirely new card. Even if it wasn't, because the effects are going off simultaneously, you could simply choose to bring the Fourth Hokage back after this end of turn effect resolves. So the main benefit is with the Mabui, like I mentioned. If you have a Special Kunai in your hand early and you have Mabui in your hand, you can deploy the Mabui, use her effect to move a Fourth Hokage into your chakra area, and then use the Special Kunai to do the combo that we just talked about. So that's the main draw of it. Running 3 feels a little clunky because I do only have the 1 Fourth Hokage and I do only have the 2 Mabui. It's not really the main point of the deck. But running 2 makes it come up often enough that it is a valuable and viable choice to run Rasengans in the early game along with Konohamaru. So I do like to run this at 2. I wouldn't blame anybody for running at 3. It just feels a little too much. Next, I run 3 Explosion of the Rasengan. Its requirements Naruto Uzumaki plus clone status, or Jiraiya, or the Fourth Hokage. So Konohamaru cannot use this one. And its effect is target, 1 ninja battling against the user. Effect, move the target to the bottom of its owner's deck. So it's essentially a kill jutsu for 3 chakra. In some situations, it's better than a kill because putting it at the bottom of the deck means that they're going to have to redraw into it by shuffling or just drawing out their entire deck, whereas there are cards that can bring it back from the discard pile or into the chakra if it has like ambush or something. So this is essentially a kill jutsu for 3 chakra, and because it has Rasengan in its name, even though it's not like name Rasengan exclusively, the Naruto can still search it because it has Rasengan in its name, and the Naruto platoon can use it for 1 chakra because it has Rasengan in its name. Because of that also, it allows you to run this alongside any Rasengan jutsus. They don't count as the same jutsu. So running it at 3 is very powerful. And next I run 1 Super Chakra Rasengan. Just like the last one, Rasengan in its name, so it's searchable, it's usable with the platoon. Same requirements, Naruto Uzumaki plus clone status, or Jiraiya, or the Fourth Hokage. And its target is every ninja battling against the user. And its effect is, if you have a Priestess Ninja or Priestess Client in play, move the target to the bottom of its owner's deck in any order that you like. If not, give 1 damage to the target. So Priestess Ninjas are the Shions that we saw earlier, the regular Shion and the Awakened Shion. And that's why I run 1 of these, because I do have 2 early game Shions, and I have a early game platoon Naruto that I can use with this. But even in the late game, running like Shion Awakened, if I'm going to deploy it late, moving an entire team to the bottom of the deck for 3 chakra is very, very strong. Even if you don't get off the kind of bonus effect with Shion on the field, 1 damage to the entire team is probably going to win you that battle anyway. And it could even make it an overwhelming victory, which is going to kill the entire team because it's going to give 2 damage to the head ninja and 1 to each back ninja. So I think this jutsu is very strong. I wouldn't run any more than 1 because it is kind of a tech, just if you happen to have the pieces on the board, which isn't that difficult, but still. And because it's searchable by the Naruto, you can still draw into it, so it's going to thin your deck just by searching for it. So I think it's pretty beneficial. Next, I run 2 Rasengan. This is, I don't really know how to differentiate it. It's Rasengan where Naruto, the Valley of the End, is using it. Its requirements, Naruto Uzumaki plus clone status, Konohamaru plus clone status, the Fourth Hokage, or Jiraiya. So it is one of 2 Rasengans in the game that is usable by Konohamaru, which is very nice. Target is 1 ninja opposing the user, and the effect is give 2 damage to the target. If the target is discarded due to this effect, you can move up to 2 cards from your discard pile to your chakra area. So if this jutsu gets a kill, which it should pretty much all the time, it's giving you back 2 chakra, and then because this jutsu is going to resolve and go to chakra, you're essentially sitting at the exact same amount of chakra you had when you started. So I actually prefer this jutsu to the other one usable by Konohamaru because this one kind of lets you spam more often. And just like the others, paying 3 lightning chakra for a kill is pretty beneficial. Even more so because it's usable as early as turn 0 with the Konohamarus on turn 0. Whereas the other Rasengan, it gives you a stat buff, which is nice, and it moves the target to the top of the deck, which can be nice if you're going to win that target into a battle reward to get rid of it permanently. But there are situations where moving it to the top of the deck just means they're probably going to deploy it next turn, and paying 3 chakra to get rid of a ninja for 1 turn, even if it is going to cost them another deploy, isn't exactly what I'm looking for. So I do run 2 of these, and I actually prefer these Rasengans to the next Rasengan, which is going to be limited because of its ability to refill your chakra. And the last Rasengan I run is this one. Its requirements Naruto Uzumaki plus clone status, or Jiraiya, or the Fourth Hokage, so not usable by Konohamaru. And the target is every ninja in up to 2 of your opponent's battling teams, and its effect is flip a ninja blade coin X times, then give 1 damage to the target for each X, or for each heads. This effect was errataed because as it stands, this effect doesn't like do anything with the flips. They just kind of messed up. So yeah, the errata effect and the official effect is flip a ninja blade coin X times, then give 1 damage to the target for every heads. So you're going to want to pay chakra to kind of maximize how many coins that you're going to flip, which is why I decided to run this at 1, even though it is limited to up to 2 on both of the lists. Because I ran into a lot of situations where, even though it is definitely a game-winning jutsu, if you get 2 heads, you can kill 2 entire teams, one of which isn't even battling you, like battling this team, or 2 of which aren't even battling this team. The fact that it's luck-based does put a damper on it, because if it's a very important battle, say you have 10 chakra, you might be inclined to pay all 10 just to guarantee that you're going to flip heads twice. You can't just pay 2 extra chakra and flip 2 coins and bank on the fact that you're going to get 2 heads. You might get 0 heads, and this jutsu does nothing. So in that way, I think it's very balanced at 2. But I just don't feel comfortable running it at 2, especially because it's just a base Rasengan name, so I would only be able to run 1 of these. Or one of any other base Rasengan. So for that reason, I only run 1. It's very understandable to run it at 2, and I wouldn't blame you if you did. But personally, I just can't bank on the luck to carry it. And lastly, for the jutsus, I run 2 Wind-style Rasen Shuriken. This is the one with the expert effect for Naruto Sage Mode. It costs 4 chakra, which is a lot, and its requirements are Naruto Uzumaki plus entrance cost of 3 or more. So only Naruto is usable. Jiraiya can't use it, Fourth Hokage can't use it, Konohamaru can't use it. Target is 1 ninja, and the effect is discard the target. So it is a snipe. It allows you to target any ninja on the field, regardless of if it's out to battle or not. And then it has an expert effect for Naruto Sage Mode, where you discard the entire target's team instead. So 4 chakra to kill a whole team is incredibly strong. It's essentially what the Super Chakra Rasengan was, but with no stipulations for having another ninja on the field. It just needs to be used by Naruto Sage Mode. And the reason I run 2 of these is because I originally ran 2 Naruto Uzumaki 2K Barrage, which, similar to Rasengan, had an X chakra cost where you could pay reveal cards from the top of your deck, and for each ninja that you reveal, you can give 1 damage to the target to snipe it. But I found that I was paying more than 4 to try to draw into ninjas for the snipe anyway. So paying 4 chakra to guarantee that you're going to get 1 kill with this jutsu is worth it, in my opinion. Especially for the fact that if the game goes on late enough, you can get Naruto Sage Mode out, you're going to be nuking an entire team every single time you use this. With Mastery, it's going to be probably once per turn until the game is over 2 turns later. So this card isn't limited at all, because I don't think 4 chakra for a snipe is incredibly good. But compared to, again, the luck, just like with Rasengan, I just can't bank on doing that. I'd rather just pay the 4 chakra and have it be a guarantee. First missions I run are 2 Comparative Strengths. It is a turn 1 mission with 0 hand cost, and it is one of the best missions in the entire game. I've mentioned it a few times over the course of the last 3 videos. It is counter permanent and permanent for 2, so it'll tick down on your turn, and you can only play it on your opponent's mission phase. Target is 1 ninja, and the effect is attach this card to the target. Target's effect text is changed to the following. Valid. This ninja cannot become the user of Jutsu cards with 1 or more specific symbols in its Jutsu cost. So this is one of the best cards in the game because it is pseudo-negating your opponent's ninja effect, but it's actually a negate. There are a few ninjas that can't have their effect text negated. There are a couple effects that will block negation of effect text, but this isn't negating effect text. It is changing it to another effect, which is not a negation. What's more, the actual effect that it gives it is devastating for the opponent's ninja. Not being able to use jutsus with 2 specific costs is very detrimental. All the Rasengans in this deck have 2 individual costs, even if both of those costs are the same element in lightning. So for being one entrance cost, no hand cost, it can go into any deck, and the only downside is maybe this isn't going to be usable for a hand cost. But otherwise, this is one of the best missions in the game. Most people will tell you to run 2 or even 3 in your main deck. I'm not a super fan of that. I prefer to kind of shore up my own strategy before trying to break down my opponent's strategy and ruin their flow. And for people who like to run sideboards, which I don't, I do think you should run 3 of these in there just for the option to side it in if you know there's going to be a problem ninja. So I do run 2 of these just because I have the space, but a lot of people recommend even more than that. And next for turn 2s, I do run 3 Monster Research. I think this is one of the best draw missions in the entire game, and I definitely recommend running 3 in every water and lightning deck. Its effect is reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, then your opponent separates the revealed cards into 2 piles. Move one of the piles into your hand and move the other to your discard pile. So generally, this is going to be a draw 2 on turn 2. It could even be a draw 3, though, if your opponent thinks one of the cards is very detrimental and they want to limit your draw from this, which means it could also be a draw 1 if that one card is very important to you. But the main draw of this, I think, is that it also lets you filter your deck. You get to draw the amount of cards that you draw, and if you're okay with the rest of them going to discard, then you probably don't want to have drawn them raw anyway. So filtering them out into your discard pile is going to be beneficial, and especially in a deck like this where you could be filtering Fourth Hokage into your discard, Messenger Ninjas into your discard, where they're both still usable. That's actually not that much of a downside either. It could be worse in that for your opponent. It could be like a reanimation deck where you actually want things in the discard. But even here in Lightning, it's very beneficial, and I tend to run 3 in every Lightning and Water deck that I have. Next, I run 2 Messenger Ninjas. It is another turn 2 with 1 hand cost. Its effect is if you have 1 or more Messenger Ninja cards in your discard pile, draw 3 cards. So drawing 3 is one of the best draws in the turn 2 missions that draw. But the stipulation is, of course, that you need the Messenger Ninja in your discard. But that is where the Mabui comes in. She's able to filter them out of your deck into the chakra and then into the discard so that you can have it in there for this. And obviously, Messenger Ninja's effect puts it in the discard anyway. You could also get lucky and have it discarded due to monster research or something like that, or maybe it's even just killed by the showdown. But this is still one of the better draw missions in the game. I do only run 2 because 3 feel kind of clunky. There is always the off chance that you're going to draw into this while you don't have a Messenger Ninja in your discard, and this is a dead draw because it has no effect other than the draw requiring the Messenger Ninja in there. So I do just run 2, even though it is very good. Next, I run turn 3s. I run 2 Group Lesson. Its effect is move up to 3 cards with a lightning symbol in your discard pile to your chakra area. Additionally, if you have a Naruto Uzumaki in play, draw 2 cards. So this is a staple in lightning decks that run Narutos. And especially for this deck, because you're going to want to run a lot of chakra. You're trying to use jutsus as much as possible. So this helps benefit the cards like Kushina, Naruto Childhood, that are going to be pumping your chakra. This is going to bring it back after the jutsus are used. Also, because you're running Naruto's as the main focus, it's going to draw you 2 cards, hopefully every time you use it. Works with the platoon, the childhood, and the main Naruto, but again, of course, not the clone. So this is the main setup that I actually use for pretty much every Lightning deck. I tend to run 3 Monster Research, 2 Messenger Ninjas, and 2 Group Lessons in Lightning decks that use a Naruto. So this is kind of my main setup for a Lightning-based deck. And it's going to top it all off with this last card, Anko's Memory. Another turn 3, 1-hand cost, water and lightning symbol. Its effect is move up to 3 cards from your chakra area to your hand. So this card is limited to 1 on both of the lists because it's extremely powerful. Pretty much any card that you can get into your chakra area is a free search and draw for it with this mission in your hand. Say you draw this mission on turn 1 and you have a Mabui on the field, you have 3 turns to pump anything you actually want to get out of your deck into your hand to put it into your chakra. Then on turn 3, you just play this mission, you get all 3 of those from your chakra area into your hand, and it's as if you had a +3 search. So that's incredibly busted, and this is limited to 1 for good reason. I, once again, would recommend you always run it in a water deck and a lightning deck. It's just too good not to. It saves too many games. It can get jutsus back and can get missions back that you can play again later. It's just very, very good and the best way to round out this deck. Next, onto the reinforcement deck. I run 1 Naruto Uzumaki and Shion. Just like the others, my counts for this are only because it's what I own. I don't use reinforcements enough to justify buying 3 of all of them, especially for some of the ones in a lightning deck. So I'm just going to quickly go through these. This is a turn 3 squad, Naruto and Shion. Its effect is when this ninja card is put in play, designate a number, and its second effect is when your opponent puts a ninja card with an entrance cost with a designated number in play, remove that card from the game instead. So it's kind of an anti-meta pick. If you know, for example, your opponent is playing a lightning deck with Narutos, you can pick turn 3, and now if your opponent puts in play that Naruto, it's removed from the game instead. If they're playing like a, I don't know, like dog deck that has a lot of turn 0s, you can designate 0, and now they basically can't put any of them in play. Samurai deck, this just completely ruins if they have like reanimation and they're going to go for a turn 6, you can stop it that way, etc. You get the point. Also has clone status, so you can use any of the jutsus in this deck. It's kind of just an anti-meta tech. I don't often go into it. Obviously, it counts as both for the Priestess, Super Chakra Rasengan. Next is Jiraiya and the Fourth Hokage. All of your opponent's chakra are considered to only have the lightning symbol and cannot have any other symbol. Essentially, this is going to stop them from using any jutsus. If your opponent isn't running a lightning deck already and has any specific costs, they can't pay them anymore. That in itself could win the game, but because of the restriction of needing Jiraiya and the Fourth Hokage, it's going to be kind of difficult to get this out. Next, a Naruto Uzumaki. He doesn't have like a parenthesis name, but he's like the Kage one from the Storm games. Limited to 1 because this card is insane. Sacrifice Naruto with an entrance cost of 3 or more. During your mission phase, you can pay X chakra to search your deck for a Leaf Ninja card with an entrance cost of X or less and move it to your village. Then shuffle your deck. So with Lightning being the chakra generating monster it is, you're going to have a crap load of chakra, and getting this into play, paying any amount of it to put in play any entrance cost ninja is insane. It's not a deploy, so you can still deploy for that turn. And there's a reason this is limited to 1, because getting this on the field basically means you're going to win in the next couple turns. I run 1 Naruto and the Fourth Hokage. Turn 7, 0 hand cost. Its effect is when this ninja is put in play, give 1 damage to all of your opponent's ninjas. And then when this ninja is removed from play, do this showdown, heal all of your opponent's ninjas. So not the best card. There are definitely techs you can do with this, but injuring every ninja in your opponent's field is pretty good. It's going to soften up all of the teams so you can kind of plow through them later. But honestly, at this point, there are better options to go into. I run a Jiraiya Sage mode, one of the best, not squads technically, but one of the best reinforcements in the game. And you have to sacrifice Jiraiya, Fukasaku, and Shima. So that's where Fukasaku's effect of drawing 2 cards when he's sacrificed comes into play. Valid. Any numbers in the effect text and target of jutsu cards used by this ninja are increased by 1. So that's incredible. Being able to target multiple ninjas for Explosion of the Rasengan is very strong. Being able to target up to 3 of your opponent's battling teams with Rasengan is very strong. Moving 3 chakra back to the chakra area with the other Rasengan is strong. Giving 1 damage for each head, or giving 2 damage for each heads that you flip with the limited Rasengan, very strong. Its second effect, this ninja is unaffected by your opponent's jutsus. So essentially the only way to get rid of this is to kill it with numbers. If it's in the same team with Konohamaru Ninja Squad, it's going to be a 14 team power if he's gotten growth off, or 13 if he has not. And he's also going to be unaffected by your opponent's ninja effects. So that's pretty much going to limit your only way to deal with this to being attacking over it, which is going to be difficult as this has 10 power, or negating its effects with emission, which we've seen is very easy to do. But still at the same time, you're going to be facing down a 13 team power, and you've only really got 2 turns to get rid of it. Also has mastery, so you can mastery any jutsu, get it back to your hand for 1 extra chakra cost. And it's got like an animal too, and obviously all the names of the toads. Lastly, I run 1 Naruto Sage mode. I don't own this card because it's incredibly expensive, so this is just a proxy. But you sacrifice 1 Naruto with an entrance cost of 3 or more, and it has Senjutsu just like the Toads and Jiraiya, so it can use any jutsu with any chakra cost. And its effect is your discard pile is considered to be in your chakra area. When you play a jutsu, move all chakra used to pay for that jutsu to the bottom of your deck. So essentially your chakra becomes infinite as long as this ninja remains in play. For ninja effects, it is literally infinite because the card is moved from the chakra area to the discard. But if you pay for the effect in the discard, it stays in the discard because it isn't moved to the bottom of the deck because only jutsu costs are moved to the bottom of the deck. So getting this card out on the field is pretty much going to win you the game. It has mastery so that you can mastery the Rasen Shuriken that we showed earlier to kill a team every single turn for 4 chakra, which is going to be mostly free because it's going to move it from the chakra area to the discard to the bottom of the deck. So this is pretty much the game ender, and hopefully you're going to be able to get the win before that, but if you don't, this is a solid way to make sure you can clean up in the late game. So that is the deck. It's one of my favorite decks, and it's very, very consistent because lightning is one of the most consistent elements in the game, having the main character being the face of the element. So let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments down below. Next time I'm going to be doing a sort of off-meta deck, and one of my favorite decks of all time, actually, with one of my favorite gimmicks. So make sure to come back and check that out. Make sure to subscribe so that you get a notification about that and the next decks that I bring up. I'll be doing a meta deck after that and so on. So you can always check out the link to the Discord in the description down below. And of course, I will have a deck list for everyone to share and upload as you please. So I hope to see you next time. Bye.